You just found a recipe you want to make, and you have everything you need, except it calls for evaporated milk, and you can't find it in your pantry. So now what? Do you substitute with regular milk? Well, it depends on how much you need. If your recipe calls for evaporated milk as its primary liquid, then you should probably not use a substitute. However, there are ways of making your own. So no worries. Here are a few tips to get through that recipe and make a great dish. Welcome to Summer Bakes the World. We are baking traditional dishes from all over the world. Today is a kitchen hack on DIY evaporated milk. Recently, I was preparing to make a dish that required evaporated milk. My grocery store didn't have the version I wanted, so I thought, how can I make it myself? This day and age, I'm always looking up things on how to do myself because I know there's always a way around it. Well, I have the answer, and I'm going to show you today. First of all, evaporated milk is simply condensed milk, just no sugar, so it's not called condensed milk. So never substitute condensed milk for evaporated milk since condensed milk is full of sugar. All evaporated milk is regular milk that has been cooked down to its concentrated form, nothing more. But there are some substitutes you could use if you don't have that can in your pantry. So these substitutes are, for every 1 cup of evaporated milk, you can use 1.5 cups of whole milk as a straight sub, no cooking down. You can mix 3/4 of a cup of whole milk with 1/4 cup of half and half for more of that evaporated consistency. Thirdly, you could simmer 2 cups of almond, soy, or coconut milk over the stove until that beverage reduces to 1 cup. Keep in mind that these store-bought versions may be too sweet, so I would use unsweetened or make your own without a sweetener. So the version we're going to make today is just simmering whole milk. There you go. We're going to simmer this over the stove. All you need are whole milk, saucepan, a whisk, and a measuring cup. Bingo! Less to buy at the store, and you may already have regular milk at home to make it yourself. So let's go to the stove and get this going. So in a medium saucepan over the stove, we're going to pour in 2.5 cups of whole milk. It should be whole milk because when it condenses down, remember we need to have a thick substance. If you're using skim or another one, it may not be as thick of a substance like evaporated. We're going to turn our stove on to medium-low at this point. We really want to focus on this not heating up too hot. We just want to bring it up to a simmer, which means the temp should remain just below the boiling point of 212 degrees. The milk should not boil, as boiling will cause the milk to burn. It will scorch. We just want it to bubble a little. So you should stir it frequently, which is why we have our whisk here. So just periodically, just do a little whisk, just to make sure that the milk is moving around so it's not burning on the bottom. So we're going to continue heating the milk until it decreases to 1 cup. This is approximately the same concentration of evaporated milk once it reaches that 1 cup. Okay, notice that our milk is bubbling. It's got that nice little simmer going on, that have it on low, and the thermometer is not showing up to 212, so we are still below that boiling point. Even though our milk is bubbling, it's not necessarily boiling. So the pops in the air, that's what's going to help evaporate the water and to keep it on low, so the evaporation is always going to be a slow process. All right, this has been going for a while now, been cooking, and it's definitely reduced quite a bit. We're going to test it to see where we are in the reducing process. So we put 2.5 cups in here. I have a 1 cup measuring cup right now. We're just a little bit over that 1 cup mark, so we're going to let it reduce just a little bit more, and then we will have our evaporated milk. As you are cooking liquids, if you find that your liquids are bubbling up too much and you're getting concerned that it's going to overflow, just quickly remove your pan from the heat. And as soon as you remove it from the heat source, then the bubbles will disappear and the liquid will go down. Also, if your liquid starts to bubble up, so mine's simmering right now, if it starts to do that and you're getting concerned that it's boiling too much, put a metal utensil in the liquid. The metal utensil will start absorbing some of that heat and it will reduce the heat that is in the liquid. Okay, let's test and see where our milk is. We're at 1 cup. Take a look, 1 cup, we're there. We now have homemade evaporated milk. Let's go to the counter and let's compare it to store-bought evaporated milk and the same milk that we started with. All right, let's compare. We have over here the canned condensed milk. In the center, we have our homemade condensed milk. And then over on this side, we have regular whole milk. So right off the bat, I can tell you two things. One, the regular milk is very white in color. The homemade condensed milk has a yellow tint to it since it's been condensed and you're mostly seeing fat instead of liquid. The canned condensed milk is also a darker in color. However, it almost has a tan color to it. It doesn't look as natural to me as the middle one, which is the homemade version. Oddly enough, canned condensed milk has 4 ingredients, milk plus other things. Our homemade version has whole milk. And then of course, regular milk has whole milk. If you want a healthier alternative than the store-bought, just make your own. You're cutting out so many extra chemicals and preservatives when you don't buy the canned one. Making homemade version, it takes a little time. It could take you about 30 minutes to make this one. However, think of it like making a bechamel sauce for like your mac and cheese. Heat your milk up in the microwave first to get it heated. Put it over the stove on low to medium and let it reduce. And you'll probably cut off about 10 minutes of the reduction time by heating it quickly. Now, let's do the consistency test. All right, let's go for regular milk first. We put our spoon in it, we take it out. There's a little bit of coating on it. Granted, remember, this is whole milk, so it's got a little bit more fat than, say, skim milk. Let's try. Definitely much thicker. And still has some bubbles on it from it being cooked. Definitely a lot thicker. Okay. And then, yeah, I think other than the bubbles being on this one, I think for sure the condensed milks look a lot more alike. Let's do one more test. Let's use the rubber spatula. Okay, there's condensed milk from the can left over. Homemade condensed milk still left on the spatula. And regular milk, there's not a whole lot there. Pretty much came right off. All right, so these two are very comparable in consistency. So the last thing I want to do is taste the canned version versus the homemade version of evaporated milk. On this side, we know that's regular milk. We know what they taste like. So I'm not going to taste that one for you. Let's start with the canned one first. Okay, so this is the canned version. Just tastes like condensed milk. No sweetener. It's very thick. Let's do my homemade version. I am not kidding when I say this. It's good and thick, but it has very good flavor. You add a little bit of sugar in this, you could have this for a snack. This is really good. I taste can in this one. It's got like a metallic little flavoring to it. If you're putting condensed milk in a recipe, you're not gonna notice it. But if you really want a good flavoring homemade version, go for this one because the homemade version is so good tasting. I could almost drink this. Not a good thing. If you have time to make your own evaporated milk, I highly recommend that you do it. It does not taste anything like the canned because it's so fresh. You really can taste the freshness in your own evaporated milk. So you can now use this, our homemade one. I can use it because I made it in any recipe that calls for evaporated milk. You can store it for a few days in the refrigerator and then use it as needed. Just like with any evaporated milk, you can hydrate it, add a little bit more water to it, and you have more of a milk consistency if you prefer. You can't go wrong with homemade evaporated milk. It takes a little bit of time, but once you make it, you're good to go because you can store it for a few days in the refrigerator. Highly recommend it. Avoid the can if you can. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel, like and share my videos with your family and friends. Until next time, go bake the world.